All right. I'll go ahead and call the June 9th meeting of the La Habra Heights City Council to order. Quick roll call. Brian?
Here.
Greg?
Here.
Carol?
Here.
Norm?
Here.
And John's here. All right, let's stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move into presentations. And just what I'm going to do is pull items. Find the number here.
20 and 21?
20 and 21, I'm going to pull them forward. So we'll do those right after public comment. So if you want to, I have 2 cards from Stephen. Does anyone else care to make public comments? No? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start with our presentations. I know we have a special guest from Vector Control here today, and Catherine Holland will also present. So normally Catherine presents on both, but looks like she brought a guest tonight, so step on up.
Thank you, distinguished counsel, and I definitely want to thank Trustee Howland for this opportunity to speak. My name is David Palin Jr., and I'm looking forward to sharing about a Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District. What to look out for, we have some mosquitoes. This is definitely mosquito season, and different services that we do to support your residents. All right, so a little bit about our district. We are the largest of 5 vector control districts that support LA County, and we do this by just charging residents is an annual tax of $18.97. So we don't just treat mosquitoes, we also do black fly as well as midge. But the real reason why I'm here is because we have a rise of dengue fever. Just last year, we had over 140 travel-related cases. This is fever that you do not want. It's called bone-breaking fever, really attacks your joints and bleeding. A constant threat for mosquitoes is also West Nile virus, as well as the occasionally detected St. Louis encephalitis. Next slide. So what are we doing to combat this threat of dengue fever through mosquitoes? Well, we believe in IVM, or integrated vector management, and there's 3 elements of this. It says surveillance, control, and if you may not be able to see, it's education, which is under the communications role that I did. So I'm going to dive into that. So first, we're going to start with our control and our high visibility operations. So if you see people outside doing door-to-doors, those are response to any of those travel-related cases. If you fill out a service request on our website, you will see one of our technicians come to your door and give you information and do an inspection. Next slide. The next are our medium visibility. So there you'll see our cleaning of our regular routes that you have in the public systems. If you go to the next slide. You'll see also treating those green pools, those swimming pools. We have what's called mosquito fish that will eat those larvae. And then last but not least, the next slide, we have treating of those street gutters. So these are all, you may see us out going out there treating these different bodies of water, but we want to make sure that we are making sure that we're getting rid of standing water. Next slide. But one of the, a couple of the services that you probably will not see because of the time that they happen are our underground storm drain system. So they'll go up and open up those manholes, clean out some of those breeding areas right there. We go to the next slide. And also we clean out those storm drains and floodwater channels, cleaning it of debris so that once again it's not pulling up that water that can be a harboring place for those mosquitoes. Thank you. So right here you can kind of see some of our activity just for last year. I would say a little over 250 interactions here at the city of La Habra Heights. It's a mixture of those residential inspections, pools, as well as the storm water cleaning. So not only that on our operations, we also have a scientific and technical department. And this department is here for the surveillance, mosquito trapping, identification, and also if you see dead birds, that's an indication of West Nile. So if you see them, they will go and test those birds and see if there's West Nile inside them. Next slide. But what we're really most excited about is our sterile insect technique. This is basically mosquito on mosquito warfare, if you sort of think of it like that, where we x-ray mosquitoes. Once again, we x-ray, we do not genetically modify, because it is the female mosquito that bites. So we x-ray the male mosquito so that it breeds with the female mosquitoes so that the offspring are not viable. So if you go to the next slide, we're really excited about this because one, it's environmentally friendly. Two, it is non-chemical, so we don't have to rely on pesticides. It's great for reducing those offspring, and once again, we are making sure that we are really bringing down that mosquito population using mosquitoes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the communications department, which is the department that I oversee. So we really focus on the community outreach like what we're doing right here. We go to different events within your community. We also have an education program that goes to elementary schools. We're building it up for middle school and high school. And we also do city council presentation as well as literature drop-off. So there's a lot of different ways, and we're very active on social media, which leads us to our ask. As this mosquito season continues to go on all the way through November, we really just ask that you follow us on social media, on our channels. We have a social media toolkit that you can take and repost. We encourage your residents to call us. We can have some of those uncomfortable conversations sometimes. If you have a neighbor that is that's harboring mosquitoes, we can go ahead and knock. And then if there is the ability to add us to your newsletter or your website, we love to be there because this is the time that we really want to spread awareness because we're already starting to get some of those travel-related cases come in this year. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Is there any particular part of the county where the cases have been situated?
Yes, so it has been more towards the San Gabriel starting, but it has come all the way through up the valley of San Fernando, and it has speckled around the Los Angeles proper, like the city area. So, but because it's travel related, it really can go anywhere because these are people who are flying out Mexico, all these different places, coming back into the United States. So it really is anywhere within LA County that can be a potential place.
Other questions for David? David, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Catherine.
Thank you, David. Say good evening, Mayor Pespisa, members of the council, staff, and citizens of La Habra Heights. I, along with Roy Francis and Adam Nazaroff, are appointed by the City Council to represent La Habra Heights in the Puente Hills Habitat Citizens Tactical Advisory Committee, or CTAC. I've provided the staff and the council a handout, and it's an update from the Habitat Authority to the mayor for activities of the preserve in La Habra Heights. So please add it to your administrative record. And in summary, I'm going to be really short here. The Habitat Authority and rangers coordinate with the fire marshal regarding the efforts of the Habitat Authority's contractor in clearing defensible space from adjacent residents next to the preserve throughout the city. The The Habitat Authority reached out to the La Harbor Heights Fire Department, sheriffs, and volunteers in preparations for its annual extra ranger and volunteer fireworks fire patrol for July the 4th. And the Habitat Authority has been doing this extra patrolling, the extra hours every July 4th for about 29 years. If anyone is interested in volunteering to help with the preserve-wide fireworks patrol, sign up via meetup.com. The group is Puente Hills Preserve Hikers. So if you want to sign up, go to meetup.com. The trails and emergency access routes are continually being maintained. This past month, they had a contractor, Rock Armor, drainages to reduce flooding and muddy conditions in the trails. And there's more details in the handout I gave you. As always, please visit online at habitatauthority.org or on the social media sites for more up-to-date information about happenings and events. And I encourage all residents to feel free to reach out to myself, Adam Nazaroff, or Roy Francis on the Habitat Authority's Advisory Committee with any questions about the habitat. Any questions? It's the shortest I've ever done for you. I'll try to stay that way.
Thank you, Catherine. All right. Let's go ahead and move into public comment. Stephen, you're the only card I have for public comment.
Stephen Black, Citron Road. Two things. One, the reflective markers have just been completed on Hacienda Road. That is really good. It's nice to have the white reflectors on the side, especially at night, so you can see where you're going. Second, there's a lot of things going on. I know the city's trying to let people know about it. You have an excellent venue, which I don't think you've taken advantage of. The city is the sponsor of the music in the parks, so you should take advantage of your sponsorship and do announcements or education at each concert, at the beginning, at intermission. But that's a time, because the city is probably the biggest financial sponsor in kind of the Improvement Association, so you should use your sponsorship, and this is a message from our sponsor, to make announcements and tell what's going on, because those are people that you might not otherwise reach through Guac Talk or here at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Anyone else like to make public comment before we move into a couple of presentations? Done? Okay. Let me go ahead and move I'll start with 21, which is the oil issue. So Jonathan, if you want to come on up.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I'm Jonathan Gregory, CEO of RMX Resources and what you guys all know as Matrix Oil. Here to give you an update on an incident that occurred at the intersection of Hacienda and East Road. A resident on Friday, May 16th, noticed what appeared to be a leak or a spill, and notified the city, who then properly notified Matrix. It was very quickly contained, and really want to thank the city, Rafferty, Grace, and Fire Department for their assistance. Everything was quickly brought under control. And I know for the last couple of weeks, you've seen the cleanup operations along Hacienda. Happy to report that we got a sign off from Fish and Wildlife last Thursday, so we got the thumbs up that everything has been cleaned up to their satisfaction. The one remaining piece is we do still need to repair the line, which is right there again at the light. Yes, that's the northeast corner. That was initially scheduled for this week, but we had a slight delay. But within the next week, that should be repaired. And that is our shipping line that goes from Canada Sombre to just off to Rancho Road to our other site. So you may have seen trucks moving oil from one site to the other, where it is then shipped off for sale. But that should be done. We're expecting to be done, by the end of next week for sure. Happy to answer any questions. Can go into a lot more detail. Any questions?
Yeah, I think Greg's got a question.
Yeah, I was wondering about the cause of the failure. As I understand it, it was a small nickel-sized hole in the bottom of the pipe.
Yeah, that intersection, that is pretty much a gravity-fed line that feeds from Canada Sombre down to Rancho Road. But that is where there's a 90 in the pipeline, and it's a place where a low spot where things settle, and we just believe that our corrosion protection that we treat the line daily, but it just wasn't getting where it needed to get. I'll say it that way. Not very technical, but you get it. The line is tested every 2 years. It's under the jurisdiction of CalGem, and it's hydro tested every 2 years. And up until this point, we had no issues. But going forward, once everything is repaired, again, it will be hydro tested, and we're implementing more maintenance on it, which will be mostly running a pig probably every couple of years.
Yeah, you do run pigs down the line, do you?
It has been a while since a pig had been run through that line, but we did run a pig through another section of the line from Site 11, which is for reference, near the golf course down to Site 8, which is on Rancho, and everything amazingly clean, particularly for how long that line, I think, has been in place for about 25 years. It was installed by Crimson.
Okay. So this was a pressure crack caused by the line moving laterally?
Actually, my specialist is sitting back there. This is a better question for Jessica. You want to answer?
So it's a type of corrosion called MIC, which is a bacteria that can settle in low spots of lines. So it's not a failure associated with any kind of movement. It's a failure, it's like a bacteria that will eat pipe. And so there's a sense of chemical aspects that you can put in pipelines that have a protocol for these pipelines, which we're implementing. Does that make sense? It looks like it's bacteria, and they have colonies, and so you run a biocide down
Colonized
it.
bacteria. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. Okay.
It's called MIC, yes.
Basically, corrosion failure analysis is one of the few black arts left in science. There's all kinds of weird things that happen.
Just real quick, I know that you still have the repairs to make. Are we going to do any mitigation out where we had to remove the earth? Are we bringing earth back? I noticed there was some black cloth that they'd put down out there. Do you know if they've completed the actual mitigation to put it back to the way it was before the spill?
Well, what we've removed is actually all being stored and signed off from the state. They have to count it, organize it, and then it's all disposed of properly. We're in the process of doing that. We just started that actually today. The soil will be replaced with native soil once we do the pipeline repair into the hole.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that mitigation effort comes after the pipeline repair?
Yeah, after the sign off, and we'll backfill after we do the repair.
Okay, so that's the site where the pipe was at. What about all the other all that other stream where the dirt had to be taken out, are we going to put something back in there?
That is actually on the city. If you guys, what you guys would like to do, if you want to get into that, on that. The aspect of the rain will refill that, all of that too. That's that storm drain that actually had 25 years of debris in it. So I don't think we want to put a bunch of debris back in there.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that storm drain. I'm talking about, no, I'm talking about
Yeah.
the normal drainage from where that storm drain outfall was along.
That will be part of the backfill, so we can discuss what you guys would like during that period.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know informally we had that discussion about using some of the material that's around the city. I don't know, you were going to talk to your consultant to see what they were willing to do?
Unfortunately, the state won't let us do that.
Even with the city's permission?
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry for you. It's, I think it was the better solution for Matrix, not for.
Yeah, it is. They
The state has specs on dirt.
Okay. Well, let's figure out how we do that, Rafferty.
Yeah, we've been working with Jessica and looking at that part of it in those areas, and obviously the backfill will happen, like they said, is once they make the repair in or the crews are there to backfill. There's a couple of larger areas where more had to be removed that will need to be backfilled. We'll work with them on that. We've also had Eric Witten, our oil and gas expert, consultant of the city. He's in the audience here today if you have any questions for him. He's been out and looking at it as well, just because oil and gas is incredibly technically specific and he has the knowledge, and so he's been working with Jessica and Jonathan and meeting and taking a look as well.
And I think you're selling it short. It's probably more like 70 or 80 years of stuff that was in that storm drain, not 25.
It's really clean now.
I bet it is. Brian?
I've just got one comment. I understand that was Roy Francis that actually phoned in the leak, so I want a big thank you to Roy Francis. He's active in the community, been active for many, many years, and had he not done that, taken quick action, probably could have been a lot worse, so thank Roy Francis.
Well, I think thank everyone that made it as de minimis as it was, right? Roy recognizing it, Grace, our public works manager, for taking Roy's call and having, your folks' number on speed dial, and then you guys recognizing it and getting it shut down. And I was actually very impressed by your emergency operations center and the fact, and I don't know if the public knows this, but Jonathan, Jessica, you might want to mention that you guys do disaster training, you do leak spill training, and I don't know whether it's coincidence, but if I recall correctly, this location was the actual location that you guys trained for as part of your drill.
Yeah, we take our responsibility as part of the community very seriously. And safety is very, very important. So every year, as part of what we're required to do, we do a spill simulation drill where we work with, we invite the fire department, we work with our vendors. In this case, you saw a lot of Patriot environmental trucks, but they also participate in the drill, and also Fish and Wildlife has to sign off on it and, tell us how we did in the drill. Good or bad, the spot that in our last drill that we used for the simulation was the corner of Hacienda and East Road. So to say we were prepared, it looked like we were ready because we were very ready. So, and the team did a phenomenal job. City did a phenomenal job, and as you said, it could have been a lot worse.
Carol?
I guess it's my understanding that no homeowner was impacted and the oil didn't get into the water courses. You were able to contain everything?
Yes, everything, it was contained in the storm drain, and no neighbors were impacted.
But they did, Carol, one of the things they did do because of their, again, another thing that I was impressed with, because of their drill, they had the contact information for all the neighbors that were adjacent to where the spill was at, and they did notify those neighbors multiple times to keep them informed of what was happening. Norm?
Well, since I've been historically a frequent critic of Matrix and, of course, Crimson before you, I want to compliment you on how well you've done this time. And frankly, the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, I've really appreciated how well you've been attuned to the community and helped out quite a bit and so forth. I would make, I'm really impressed by the response as far as based on the information I know, you've done very good. And thank you.
Thank you.
And just one suggestion, I would strongly urge you, you have the 2-foot section from the pipe. You could have, I would recommend you hire a metallurgical engineer who specializes in corrosion studies or corrosion engineer or whatever to analyze the failure from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah, that's already on the way.
I've done this a lot myself many times in the past, but the past has been about 20 years ago, so I've lost a lot of my. I do not recommend myself anymore. I will kibitz your engineer studies, but I'm not quite qualified to do it anymore myself.
Okay.
But thank you very much. I'm curious to see what happens.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
I don't think
Thank
there's
you.
any other questions. All right. Jonathan, Jessica, thank you so much. All right, let's move to item 20. Oh, did I? I don't. No? Let's move on to item 20, which is the community risk reduction.
If you want, we can have Chief Jorgensen talk a little bit about some of the background and also provide a little, they have some other information presentation for you tonight. So I'll hand it off to you to Chief Jorgensen if you'd like to add a little bit to it.
Good evening, Mayor, esteemed City Council members, as well as the residents of La Habra Heights. I'm Ryan Jorgensen, your Fire Marshal. I would like to introduce Alex Maumand with FireScore AI, who has presented the Los Angeles City Fire Department as well as the La Habra Heights Fire Department with cutting-edge technology that is designed to reduce the risk to our community through aerial fire threat mitigation. I'm going to let Alex go ahead and take it from here, and any additional questions that you may have that are directed my way, I'll be more than happy to answer. However, Alex, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and esteemed City Council members and citizens of La Habra Heights. My name is Alex Maumand. I spent 10 years with the Department of Defense in Afghanistan, shutting down the burn pits. I'm now here working shoulder to shoulder with various counties and cities for fire threat mitigation, bringing the most cutting-edge technology to the hands of our first responders. If we may play the slide, I have a short presentation. We can hit pause on this one. This is just a little bit of background on my history with fire in Afghanistan and shutting down the burn pits, and now having my startup here. I came across the LA City Fire Department with Inspector Flynn, who's utilizing binoculars to identify vegetation hazards throughout Los Angeles County. Inspector Flynn is the son of a pastor, and he wanted to go door to door because he knew he had no idea the level of threat. So he spoke to every neighbor door to door and still wasn't able to have an assessment on the threats for specific neighborhoods. That was my call to action. Next was to be able to see what did Inspector Flynn have to work with. And his best data available is 30 meter per pixel land fire satellite imagery. If we go to the next slide, please. If you could put it on the full view, please. Thank you. On the view and then slideshow. Thank you. If we can move one slide over. All right. And so that's Inspector Weaver there as well. This is another short video of us interacting with one another, taking it a step further. How can we bring the resolution down to a grade in which firefighters, inspectors are able to receive granular data that they can assist their neighborhoods and communities in reducing the risk? Well, what we found is a multispectral sensor, one which reads the chlorophyll off of various vegetation. I can compare this best to being able to have the vision of a bumblebee looking for nectar. And by doing so, you're able to see how healthy is a plant. You're able to put it against an index that showcases a threat over a wide range of various vegetation species and neighborhoods. We were able to narrow this down with some cost-effective solutions, and we've identified various hotspots throughout Los Angeles County in Verdugo Hills, in Shadow Hills as well, Laurel Canyon. And moving forward, I had made a presentation over to the Southern California Fire Preventions Officers meeting in Anaheim, where I came across Fire Marshal Jorgensen. And if we could play this slide here as well. The biggest issue with being able to inspect vegetation health and hazards are the large pixels. If we go to the next slide. This is what land fire looks like. It's 30 meters per pixel, and the lines you see there are structures. You're not able really to see or assess the threat there. These maps were from the 90s, and it's the same satellite imagery that's being used now. This is over a wide range of various properties in Griffith Park. Once again, we have a large cluster of pixels. No real granular data is able to be extracted from that. Next slide, please. And if we zoom in, still, we're not able to receive actionable intelligence. And now, if we can move on to the next slide. These were the various vegetation hazards that were identified. Next slide. And next slide, you all must be familiar with these. And now there's a physical AI, an AI that's not trained off of text or script. What you're seeing with traditional ChatGPT, these artificial intelligence, they're taking everything from the internet that's possible, that's out there, and they're putting it into a system where famously Google was recommending people should eat X amounts of rocks per day because it's healthy. This is what's called a hallucination because there's garbage data associated with the artificial intelligence. Well, with our artificial intelligence, we're utilizing sensors such as LiDAR, the traditional sensors that you may see in these autonomous vehicles, the Waymos that are driving around. In addition, we're using multispectral. Here you're looking at one of the bands of the multispectral. In the blue are the structures. In the green is the vegetation. Next slide. And here we're looking at the various masks within the NVDI, which is the multispectral sensor. You're able to see to a structure what's combustible, what's not, what are the hazards, how healthy is the vegetation. Next slide. And this is Griffith Park. we've trained our AI against the new Zone 0 law that Governor Newsom put an executive order out. And the properties in red, we can equate those to someone driving 220 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour school zone with an elderly couple crossing the road. These properties pose the highest risks to that community and to that neighborhood. Next slide, please. And Jensen Huang, who's a mentor of mine, he's the CEO of NVIDIA, who really spearheaded the graphic cards that enable us as a society to be able to utilize artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, my view and push is to create a force multiplier for our first responders, giving them the tools they need to be able to do the assessments, be able to see the threats and the risks, and reduce those to the community. Next slide, please. And this push is for a proactive fight with fire with data, not reactive, getting ahead of the threat, being able to see the threat and mitigate it. Thank you.
All right. Chief Jorgensen, do you have anything else to add to that? I mean, kind of what you think our path forward is and what the plan is?
So it's my belief after working with Alex and FireScore AR that our path forward is to essentially just introduce this to our community. And it is my goal to, as the fire marshal, this being my first season, to really bring 100% compliance to the fire inspection process this year and beyond. And it can be done. But historically, the way that we've been going out about our fire inspections is boots on the ground, very limited technology. We have had some technological advancements in terms of iPads and more people. However, what that includes is also an increased expenditure and an increased risk in terms of potential workers' comp claims if one or more inspectors becomes injured due to the inability for us to access many of these parcels. It's been my experience since January when I took over as fire marshal that there are many inaccessible areas that exist in La Habra Heights, and even though we may see a threat in terms of, say, as an example, a palm tree that may have dead palm fronds or some castor bean or tobacco plant, so on and so forth, we may not be able to get down to it and irrefutably tell who owns that in particular parcel. So my office is continually being inundated with phone calls from residents who tell me that that's not my tree that's in that photo, that's not my castor bean plant, whatever the case may be. And every time I have to go out there and verify that that complaint is true or false is not the point. It's the fact of the reality of it is it's time taken away from more inspections being done to hit that benchmark of 100% compliance. Last year, we were at 45% compliance with our inspections, and that was a good season from my understanding. And what I'm trying to do is, to use Alex's words, is really bring that force multiplier to our department and our city and this technological advancement that will absolutely not invade anybody's privacy. The software has a built-in coding to blur out any individuals or any content that may be on the parcel. It is, and there are no violation of curtilage laws. We've discussed this with our code attorney. And when we do get the data back, we don't see topography, we don't see a satellite image. What we see are just blobs. It's kind of like when I always bring it back to my paramedic experience. It's a triage system, red, green, blue. You know, what's critical, what's immediate, and what's really not a threat whatsoever. And what we believe to be a threat at times based off what a piece of vegetation may look like, that tree may be dormant and not dead. And we could be potentially pulling out healthy vegetation while at the same time ignoring dangerous vegetation that looks healthy but isn't. So again, it's my goal to gain 100% compliance with precision for this city, because I just feel that the threat is there. I don't want to become the next victim of a wildfire that we've seen with the Eaton and the Palisades. And not to instill fear, but the threat is there. And my goal as your fire marshal, and really to build out a robust community risk reduction program, it starts with technology.
So I know that you and Alex were out a week or so ago doing some test runs over some of the vacant land in the city and other places. When will we be able to see that information, that tests, those pilots that you've been running?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we're currently processing the data right now, so we would hope that possibly within the next 7 to 10 days we should have imagery processed for you.
So by the next council meeting, we can see some samples of what this tool would produce. I mean, going back to the chief's comments about this isn't producing, you know, high resolution pictures, it's producing indicators of risk and indicators where we have a fire threat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the best way, if I may showcase this, is it's these blobs. Vegetation, correct, sir.
So I think it would be really helpful to see some real life examples of how, you know, how this product actually produces visual imagery for the fire department to use.
I mean, privacy is a huge, huge issue, and it's if you're doing an overview and you're just seeing what I saw in the picture there with the pixels and things, that it's not really seeing somebody's backyard or people moving around or any of that stuff. You're just looking at the color distortions and looking for the, I guess, moisture content in the plant and things, and it's showing up. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, that is correct. And depending on how much granularity is required, you know, there's stages in where you're able to classify what are the priorities? Are we looking to classify specific vegetation? Do we want to go against zone 0? Or do we get to zone 1 or zone 2? But it all goes back to those blobs of red and green and blue. So we want to have the vision of a bumblebee and find the nectar. And in that case, being able to find the most hazardous locations, fuel loads that pose a threat to the city and the community.
I mean, it's, I think I've several times in these meetings expressed, the need for this city to get a little bit more focused on the risk side of fires and really, we have very limited resources. And when you have limited resources, the best exercise is using risk to determine where you deploy those limited resources and get the biggest bang for your dollars. And, the amount of money that we can spend on doing, we're already spending a lot of money. Thank you, Angie, for telling us how much money we've got out there right now that the city is paid to do vegetation management for people in the city, brush clearance in the city. We don't have unlimited funds. And given that we're moving into an incredibly aggressive fire season this year, with, I don't think any signs of it getting any better anytime soon, we have to come up with more tools in the toolbox to move us forward and deal with this in a way that allows us to make the best use of our limited funds. And I know the chief and Alex both have said this is a force multiplier, and I think the city's already deployed one, right? Our heli hydrant is an aggressive force multiplier, and I see this as kind of the next. Using these types of tools can be a very effective way at managing our fire risk and getting the biggest bang for, our city's dollar.
How long does it take to map the city?
So on average, we're capable of doing about 100, the equivalent of about 100 parcels in, that's based off of Griffith Park. Granted, the properties in La Habra Heights, they're spread apart a bit. The biggest point I've received from various fire marshals and other folks that I've worked with and speaking with Fire Marshal Jorgensen is the distance of the vegetation threats to the structure. So to be able to map the whole city, I have to sit with my team and get an estimate, but I'm fairly sure that with the right approvals and support from everyone in this room, including the community members, we can get it done fairly rapidly. Rapidly meaning I can try to push it within the next 30 to 45 days.
And what cities have you done so far?
So far, we've covered Verdugo, the region of the wildland-urban interface. We've covered the Chumash region in Santa Barbara. We've covered Shadow Hills, Laurel Canyon, and Griffith Park, which arguably we have the world's largest library of data, which has enabled our physical AI to have Olympic-level training because we've flown so much in a similar terrain that you see at Griffith Park, where there's a series of fuel loads just coming up the hill. And the inspector has very limited capability of going down there. It's extremely difficult terrain, and I see that same trend in the neighborhoods here during our last flights.
And pushback from the communities?
So one thing that I've noticed is having engagement with the community is what really makes it work, because if someone doesn't have an idea of what's happening and they're just walking outside or mowing their lawn and they see a drone buzzing by, it's fairly alarming, and I share that sentiment with the community members. One thing that I have experienced so far was just one person in Chumash in Santa Barbara was a little bit concerned, but I showed him the drone, I showed him the footage, and he understood. But what we did in the following series of events was just alert the community members ahead of time that, hey, heads up, we're flying in the area between this time and this time, which is solar noon is the best time. This is the optimal time in which a multispectral sensor is able to read the chlorophyll off of the vegetation, which is around 12:08, 12:04, around that time in the afternoon. So as long as, in my opinion, people are aware, I haven't faced any issue, and we've flown for about maybe 500 hours plus over various regions in Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One question. You're gonna have some material ready for us to look at by next council meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
I wonder if you could get that a few days before the council meeting. I'd like to have the opportunity to walk out and double check it myself with my own eyes.
Roger that, sir.
Not that I don't trust you, but it's my nature not to trust data.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. I would like to say that the level of accuracy, we're at 6.8 centimeters per pixel. The world's best right now is about 5 meters per pixel. One of our partners recently launched a satellite that will be, well, it's in orbit right now. It's making its transition down, its low orbit. It will be 10 centimeters per pixel. So my goal is to then bring this level of technology to other areas around the world that are high risk with fires, such as Indonesia, South Africa, Australia, and push it over towards Hawaii. But I do understand that you want to double check, and that brings me pleasure because it will confirm that my AI is accurate.
Well, it's no offense to AI. I don't trust human intelligence either, for that matter. I was notorious. I once challenged Newton's law of universal gravitation in the middle of a freshman physics lecture. I believe Sir Isaac won that argument, if I'm not mistaken. Remember correctly? And anyway, it's a way of learning, and it's the way of double checking everything.
Correct. And it's good that you bring up physics, because the physical AI, the meaning behind it is that it's an AI trained with physics, understanding cause and effect, object permanence, being able to understand the measurement of a tree, seeing the pattern of the tree branch, and being able to look at millions and millions of images of tree branches in LiDAR form, and being able to match that and accurately say, this is an oak tree. And the next stage will be hyperspectral, just to give you a vision of the future and where we're pushing towards, is being able to identify vegetation species over a wide range of space. And the Avarice flight that NASA has flown all over California and collected series of hyperspectral imagery. And we plan to fly at the Los Angeles Botanical Garden with hyperspectral, which with multispectral, you can imagine it's a series of smaller bands. With hyperspectral, there are up to 400 to 600 bands, and you're able to then identify species. So really getting the granular data, once again, going back to what's intelligence for the firefighters, and in a fuel model per se, not just seeing what is the fuel load, but what is within that fuel load, and what does the combustibility of that fuel load look like. So that is the push into the future. But having a physics-driven and a physics-based artificial intelligence without garbage, not a chat GPT, a physical AI. La Habra Heights will be the very first in the world with that.
Yes, I have some Luddite questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is testing for chlorophyll or sensing chlorophyll?
Yes, it's the vegetation indices. So the main objective of the multispectral sensor is reading the chlorophyll, correct?
Okay, so this wouldn't help with a bunch of junk in the backyard.
Yes, so with a bunch of junk in the backyard, we would have to then use a different sensor, or we would have to train what is the junk that you're looking for. Is it an abandoned vehicle that's rusting up? Is it a propane tank that's just hanging out in the back? Is someone just hoarding their material and creating a big pile of trash in their backyard? So there are other methods that we could introduce to train the model to identify other items if that's what you're looking for, but for now it's primarily focused on the vegetation risk.
And our fire marshal mentioned the problem of identifying where the tree with the palm fronds was located, on whose property. Does this solve that problem?
So we have the local county parcel records, and so while we collect our imagery, we overlay the maps on top of the county parcel records, and then you're able to have various parcel lines. So an inspector, Fire Marshal Jorgensen, anyone that's out there can utilize the software, see where the hazard has been located, and it will show you pinpoint where it's located and where the parcel line is. So then you can make an assessment as to who is the violator.
And that's included just in the basic plan, or the basic plan?
Yeah, this is the basic plan. Yeah, this is the basic plan.
Okay, and what does the fire marshal see? There's a drone up in the air. Does he see or she see people in the backyard, or do they just see some sort of color that represents the percentage of chlorophyll?
Correct. So what you would be able to see is this here. That will then blur that out. We're working on blurring out pets as well. But this is what you're looking at. It's not your traditional drone imagery that you would purchase a drone from Best Buy or any electronics store. It's not that type of sensor, no.
Okay, so when the person is out there reading whatever they're,
Yes, this
they
is what
would
you're
not
seeing.
see faces?
No,
Okay.
this is what you're seeing.
And what is it on that paper that shows bad chlorophyll?
Yeah.
The yellow part, or?
Yeah. So it's the red is what is dry and dead, and the green is what's thriving. And then the blue were some areas of shadows that we were not able to identify, but then the AI is able to show the roof line, and then we're able to measure from the distance of the vegetation to the structure, and that's where we're looking at the threat to the structure in itself in the event of a fire.
How big a piece of, is that like one lot in that pit?
This is one property.
Okay.
This is one property, and that's the roof line there, and that's the vegetation. And red highlighted is the vegetation that is not healthy and is fairly combustible.
Okay. And who decides where the fairly combustible trigger point is?
That's an assessment that the fire marshal will have to make. So this is based off of our understanding of Zone 0 requirements, and there's various material out there that, and scientific studies that have been done in the past where they've had various vegetation, and they see the combustion rate of how quick it lights up, a cactus versus chaparral, and then so we base it off of that. But ultimately, it's the fire marshal that makes the final call.
Well, thank you for now. I have more questions, but.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be helpful to see some real La Habra Heights data and what it looks like in La Habra Heights. And then, I think just so everyone's clear, this is a informal partnership between Alex's startup and La Habra Heights, where he's tuning his model in our city, and we get the benefit of, the output from that model. So I think working with the boots on the ground with our fire department and working with Alex's team, it'll be interesting to see how this progresses. All right. Thank you.
I guess I would like to see, 5 specific properties and how they evaluate them, or.
That's what he's working on
Oh,
for
all
us.
right, okay.
Yeah, I think we all want to see. I think we want to see some real examples of the heights, and like Norm says, I'm right there with you, Norm.
With the permission of the owner.
Again, we can look at that. There are public spaces that he can fly over and do this without
Well,
that.
yeah, but there wouldn't be a house on a public space.
Yes, that's true. But I'm also interested in understanding where, we've got a lot of vacant land to the north of us. We've talked about, understanding the condition of that land, and I think this will help us understand that.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things we've asked him to do, and I know he's been working on that. But yeah, I'm sure Chief Jorgensen, he's out there. He has a pretty good relationship with the community. We can find some volunteers to say that they'd be willing to do it. And
You can use my house as a prototype.
yeah, and I think there's
No,
also
that's not a good example.
so.
I want one with some brush.
So and there's probably some properties that
Or vacant.
no one's living in right now,
Vacant
right? That are vacant, that that we've had to abate in previous years that we know are vacant properties with structures on them. You know, I'm sure we can find some good examples that'll.
And I'm sure you received the copy of the lawsuit in, is it Sonoma County, where the ACLU is?
A little, I mean, yeah, I hear you. I mean, I looked at that. It was given to me, but it looked, again, they were using very different equipment that had very different types of cameras on it that created, I think, some different imagery that concerned people where, and as a matter of fact, I think there was probably some policy violations of how that equipment was being used within the city. So, yeah, I guess if we ever decide to go to drone usage for code enforcement, where we're taking actual pictures of someone's property, we might have an issue with that, but this is, I think it's in my mind, it's different, but you know, we can have our attorney look at what's being produced and make that determination for us.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this, from what I've seen, that's not a Fourth Amendment violation. I mean, this is permissible in the administrative regulatory context, absolutely.
Thank you.
So again, I don't know if this is one of the bigger crowds that I've seen at a council meeting in a while. I don't know if you're here for this topic or for others, but I find this very exciting for the city. I hope that it's something that we can do because I think that it'll allow us to mitigate fire risk in a much more efficient way and help us, you know, deal with this existential threat to our city, because it truly is. And, you know, I've said this before, I don't want us to be the next victim of a fire, especially when at least I'm on the council. I want to try to do everything I can do to mitigate the risk using the resources we have and not bankrupt the city. Alex, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Chief Jorgensen, thank you so much for championing this and bringing this to the city.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. Do we have any committee presentations? On this item? Oh, I thought you talked about that in public comment. I mean, we didn't, usually we do them all in public. I mean, you can come up and speak, Stephen, but usually we do everything in public comment. Usually don't break them up, but.
Okay, Stephen Blagden, Citron Road. I'll know that for the future. I thought that people did come up for each item. This is a topic that would be good to talk about at Music in the Park. A word from our sponsor, because it'll be of great interest to people.
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely talk to them about that. I think that's a great idea, Stephen.
Thanks. I was hoping to be convinced. The city council asked for how privacy is going to be protected. I didn't see it. At the end, he was showing some picture, but it wasn't shown to the audience. It would have been nice to see a demonstration. In the slideshow, I saw high-resolution photos, a house, a car in the driveway, I think a person. When is the filtering done? Post-recording or real time? What does this do differently as far as seeing dry brush? What were the circumstances on the ground that determined the houses that were red? What altitude will the drone fly at? Much of the city is screened by trees and that you can't see the ground. I don't think this can see through the trees, so we'll fly below tree level. And if this is going to find more violations, I think the city needs to educate and phase in rather than hammering residents, for example, with things that they've had, for years, and all of a sudden now they're a violation. The LA County GIS has good resolution. I use it all the time, and it overlays the parcel map on the aerial photo. Now you mentioned about the Sonoma County lawsuit, which was against the city for code enforcement and inspections using a drone. The state has AB 856, a 2015 law regarding drones and recording. It says the government agency needs articulable suspicion to overfly and record. So basically you have to have some level of suspicion of a violation to fly over a property and record. Will this drone use comply with that? Will the vendor indemnify the city against privacy or damage suits? Like that Sonoma suit, I'm sure the city didn't expect that, or the county. Edison does drone inspection of their lines, but it is a one-off and we receive multiple notices. As far as we've been told, we're going to have inspections year-round, and I don't know if any notice or not. So that means we no longer can have an expectation of quiet enjoyment of our properties if any time a drone can fly over it multiple times a year. If one had a teenage daughter or wife out sunbathing, I'm sure there would be concern. These are things that we really need to find out about ahead of time. We don't want people getting upset about something that maybe doesn't exist, or maybe it does exist. We really haven't been told that much, or shown that much. I thought we were going to be shown more. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, all very good points, Mr. Blanken, thank you. Would Alex be able to answer some of those questions in rebuttal, sir?
Do you want to go out?
I mean, sorry.
Do you want him to go talk? Spend some time.
I mean, I think what I prefer is maybe we take, I mean, Stephen brought up some very good points. Why don't we just next month bring it back with the data and with, you know, we can have the city attorney also ponder the points that Stephen brought up. I think some of them are really good if we decide to move forward with this on a more holistic basis to make sure that we have policy around how the drone gets used, notices. I mean, you know, obviously I'm pretty familiar with how my company uses drones and the noticing and other things that we do to make sure that we don't cause problems, and I think there's a lot of work we can do there. So let's, you know, I know we were working to get some height-specific examples here tonight, and we weren't able, you know, it sounds like we're a day or two off from that. So let's work on getting those for next month. We'll put it back on the agenda next month, and we'll, you know, and I'm sure it'll be on the agenda for the foreseeable future as we march down this path. I want to be really transparent on how we do this. I understand the privacy concerns, but I think it's a really unique opportunity for the city to try to mitigate some of the just significant fire threats that are out there. But you know, in doing so, we do have to be and recognize that drones in particular make people very uncomfortable, and the privacy issues associated with drones make people very uncomfortable, and that's why I want to be really, really transparent about this. And my guess is, Alex, what I heard, within a year or two, the drones won't matter anymore because we'll have satellite imagery that's good enough, and there's no, at least today, there's no limitation on how you use satellite imagery.
Yes, correct, Mayor. There's, yeah, when you're 300 feet above, it's federal airspace, and aside from that, this August we'll have our low orbit satellite fully functional, so the drones wouldn't even be necessary at that point. But I do understand the concerns of the citizens, and I'm right there with you. And whatever I can do to stand shoulder to shoulder with the city, with the brave firefighters and the citizens as well, I'm here for all of you. So I hope that I can bring my service to La Habra Heights in whatever capacity I may. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, let's go ahead and press on. Any committee comments? Okay. Any council comments? Okay. Let's get into the administrative reports. City Manager's report.
Just a couple of things that are coming up this month. So the first one up is Music in the Park is going to be starting here pretty quick. So beginning on the 16th, I believe, is the first date of the 18th is the first Music in the Park will be coming up. So we've heard a little bit about some of those communications and things. We typically do have a booth at the park and provide some information. Last year, our EPC committee provided some additional information and outreach. They'll also continue to do that as well at the Music in the Park events that come up, thanks to working with the Improvement Association on those. On Saturday, June 21st, there is a Hacienda Road cleanup coming up. So if you're interested in volunteering to pick up litter and trash along Hacienda, please reach out to Mr. Dominguez at beautifylhh.gmail.com, and he will happily talk with you and get you scheduled to come out and pick up some trash. Also on that day as well is the quarterly cleanup, so where we'll be out at the park for bulky item, document shredding, and e-waste. Will be happening that same Saturday at the park. And then coming up on July 12th is the county's Household Hazardous Waste event at the park. So that's the one where you can bring oil and paint and tires and batteries and fluorescent light bulbs and all those things. Will be on July 12th at the park as well. So a couple events coming up here in the very near future.
A couple that maybe we missed. So tomorrow night, I believe, is Firewatch has a meeting. For those of you that are interested, some pre-4th of July patrol planning will be tomorrow night in this room. And then if you're interested, I know Firewatch on the 4th, we'll be getting a group together here also on the 4th to work with Firewatch, the Sheriff's Department, and the Fire Department on our 4th of July Firewatch patrols. So if you're interested in volunteering on the 4th, I would suggest coming to the Firewatch meeting tomorrow night, June 10th, in this I think it's 6:30 in this room, and then we'll be patrolling on the 4th. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. City Attorney's report.
Just that we did have closed session and there's no reportable action out of closed session. That is all.
Community development.
The report is submitted. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer for you.
Any questions on community development? Good. All right, Fire Chief.
Good evening. So as we continue to commit the highest level of service to the citizens, residents of La Habra Heights, for the month of May, we have continued to go on average. We had 52 calls for service, and specifically 6 in the island. So a few upticks in some areas, but pretty much average for the year. I wanted to expand a little bit on that fire prevention and brush clearance program, just to give you figures. So for the month of May, you had a total of 129 inspections. Of those, 44 were compliant. So if you're using the percentages, we're below the percentage of the mark that we want to hit. So all this goes to support what we're trying to achieve, and that's better compliance. In addition, if you haven't seen it, the big red, beautiful engine is sitting right outside. And if you want to go take a look, I'll take you through it, give you a personal guided tour. But we are in the final stages of completion to bringing it, to put it into service. Having a few problems with some parts that had to be ordered, but it's pretty much ready. I do need some help with the county, and we're presently working towards that to see if they're going to be able to provide us with the what we call an MSCU, which is a mobile status entry unit that gives us all the information on a dispatch so that we can go to all the calls, and then they have to integrate the radios that are installed into their system so that we're LA-RICS compliant. That's all I have. Thank you.
Hey, Chief, it sounded like out of the 120-some inspections we did, and I take it that was in May?
May. That's
Yeah.
for the month of May.
So we had a 2/3 failure rate. Are the failures getting into compliance fairly quickly? In other words, are we getting a call back within a week or two asking for the reinspection, or what are we seeing there?
I'd have to refer to my fire marshal to answer that question.
No, I would say about 3/4 are of the non-compliant are getting back to me or my office within a month. It's not uncommon for me to have to send out pre-abatement paperwork until I'm able to reach a resident. Most of the contact information I have for the residents, there's it only includes an address and not even an email, just really essentially an address. I'm lucky if they have a phone number that's been left behind. So every time I do get in contact with a resident with these brush inspections, I try very hard to ascertain their cell phone numbers or any type of landline, any type of phone number really, so we can maintain communication in the future. However, to answer your question, the compliance is very challenging. So, which is why we've had discussion in the past about requesting an increased abatement budget, because that's where this is headed.
Sheriff's report?
Good evening, City Council. We had for the month of May, we had one residential burglary, one vehicle burglary, one grand theft auto, 3 hit and runs, and 2 petty thefts.
All right, any questions for the fire chief or our deputy? Okay.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the consent calendar. Anyone want anything pulled? I'll take a motion.
Move to adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
Norm?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
John's yes. All right, public hearing. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing.
All right, our first public hearing tonight is a hearing on vacancies pursuant to Government Code Section 3052-3. So this is Assembly Bill 2561, and it's related to open job vacancies and the statuses within cities. So a lot of this is a newer one that has come out of the state, and you'll see cities have been reporting on these across the board for there. So as far as like status of vacancies that we have, we're reporting on what's in the upcoming 25-26 budget. So we have a total budgeted positions listed of 20. So that's going to include City Hall, brush clearance, fire department admin, and those things in there. We have a total of vacant 4 positions, so a vacancy rate of 20%. So currently there's 1 position open in city manager's office, 2 in community development, and 1 in public works. So we continue to try to manage those vacancies and deliver the services as we can. Some of the steps we have taken recently as far as recruitment efforts, city has ongoing job postings on government professional associations websites. We have begun to expand our outreach using social media platforms, which has shown some benefits, especially in the fire department side, with captains and paramedics and firefighters. Have seen a large uptick in the social media aspect of recruiting and promoting those vacancies in the fire department. We are also work to streamline the application interview process to sort of reduce that time from application submittal to hiring and recruitment efforts to fill those vacancies. Staff has not identified any necessary changes to policies, procedures, or recruitment to be able to that are obstacles in the hiring process. There is no physical impact associated with this report. All those positions are budgeted in the budget, so there is no physical impact where there is constraints in the budget to not be able to fill those positions. So it's recommended that the City Council hold a public hearing and receive and file the city's annual position vacancy report in compliance with Assembly Bill AB 2561. If you have any questions, happy to answer for you.
Any questions?
I have a question. Do either you or the attorney know what's the logic behind adding another piece of reporting that cities have to do?
This is the unions being able to publicly pressure cities to hire more union members.
Oh,
There you go.
okay, thank you.
All right, any public comment on this one? Motion?
Receive and file.
Second?
Norm?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Brian?
Yes.
John's a yes. 17.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll hand this over to Angie. She'll walk you through the next couple of reports for you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Item 17 is an item we present annually. It's the determination of the special fire tax for the upcoming fiscal year 25-26. Every year, Council must provide a public notice of determination of the maximum tax amounts. For this year, it is 3%. That is our max amount. So the amount of the revenue necessary to provide adequate fire prevention, protection, and life safety services to the city for fiscal year 25-26 is estimated to be $2,294,264. The tax amount set forth in the attached resolution total $1,337,728. And again, these are based on a 3% increase over the previous year's estimated revenue. So the difference between the budgeted amount and the available amount, the available funding is estimated to be $956,536. So of this, the fire department revenue will fund an estimated $1,611,035, and the $683,229 will be transferred from the general fund to cover the difference in the fire fund. So it's recommended to open the public hearing, which we are. And I don't know if there's any questions, comments.
Any questions? Motion? Or sorry, any public comment on this? No? Motion?
Move to adopt resolution number 2025-14 in draft.
Second.
Second.
Norm?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Brian? Brian?
Yes.
John's a yes. All right, 18?
Okay. Moving on to item 18, it's the levy and collection of the street maintenance assessment district number 7 for fiscal year 25-26. Again, each year, staff presents this item to City Council for approval of the annual levy and collection of assessments for the upcoming fiscal year. The assessments for the fiscal year 25-26 are pretty much, they're based on each parcel within the districts. The assessments have been calculated relatively to the total cost of the improvements and will not exceed the maximum amounts previously authorized. Attached is the engineer's report, and the total cost to be assessed within the street maintenance district number 7 for fiscal year 25-26 is $479,679. So these funds will support the planned street maintenance improvements. And again, the street maintenance assessment district number 7 engineers report is attached. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? Motion, or sorry, any public comment? Stephen?
Thank you, Stephen Blagden, Citron Road. Assessment District 7 is a 10-year assessment to do all the roads in the city. Currently is the 7th program underway, and there's 3 left to do the rest of the roads of the city. There's about 4.2 million square feet of street area in the city. That's $420,000 a year to do, and that mostly hasn't been done, so there's kind of a backlog. So I just want to make sure the intention is to still do the city as was promised and paid for by the residents. Thank you.
Sorry, Stephen, can you say that? I didn't catch that the last comment you made. Say that again.
Oh, just to affirm that all the roads in the city will still be done as promised and paid for by the residents. Thank you.
Move to adopt Resolution 2025-15 as appears in the draft.
I just had a comment. I thought we had talked about having a joint meeting with the Roads Committee at some point to
Do what? Sorry.
kind of look at the whole program and see how we were doing. Is that not correct, or?
Yes, it is something we're planning to have joint meetings with the council and the roads committee, council planning commission, and EPC.
Okay. Do you have any idea, we're looking at August, or?
They're been looking at the current design. We'll put a date on the calendar here for you guys in the near future.
Thank you.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Brian?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Carol?
Yes.
Norm?
Yes.
And John's a yes. All right, number 19.
Angie, you want to take us away on the budget?
Okay. Item 19 is the consideration of the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget and capital improvement plan. It also includes the salaries and benefits resolution, the GAN limit, and the investment policy. So to formally approve and adopt the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget, a public hearing is scheduled for today, June 9th. The operating budget encompasses the general fund and capital improvement project budgets. Again, the employment, salary and benefits, the GAN limit, and the investment policy. Upon approval today in June, the operating budget will become effective July 1st of 2025. We can go over the general fund. The beginning general fund balance for fiscal year 25-26 is projected at $6.8 million. Assuming all budgeted funds for the upcoming year are spent as planned, the general fund balance ending June 30th, 2026 is estimated at $7.3 million. The ending balance includes $5.7 in undesignated reserves and $1.6 million in designated reserves. City Council has established a policy to maintain a minimum of $4 million in the undesignated reserves. I'll just go over a couple of key changes that were made this year. We do have a reduction in the general, in the city manager's office. Last year we had, or this current year, we had a general election. The upcoming fiscal year, there will not be a general election, so there is a reduction of about $45,000. In regards to the sheriff's contract, there was a slight increase to their service unit rate. So I believe I had budgeted at, I want to say, 4 point, it was 4 point something. So there was a slight increase. There was like a $1,300 difference. The city's general liability insurance, the premium, has increased to about 26% compared to last year. Just keep in mind, some claims may take several years to resolve, and their estimated values can fluctuate as new information arises. We have canceled the walking trail project at the park, so those monies, they have been removed from the Public Works budget. And we are carrying over the Hacienda traffic signal and striping project, where we are receiving an estimated $980,000 from the Highway Safety Improvement Program. So just keep in mind, even though the construction is occurring this fiscal year, we have not been invoiced. So most likely we won't get any bills until next year. So everything has just been carried over. The revenue and the expenditures. Same thing for the Hacienda Road Guardrail Project, same thing. It's been carried over for the upcoming fiscal year. We have not paid a dime in the current fiscal year, and we haven't been reimbursed, so everything will happen next year. In regards to the restricted funds, the most significant use of the special revenue funds will be in the capital improvement projects. We do have a combo project, 2 projects budgeted for the upcoming fiscal year, totaling an estimate of $1.6 million for the 23, 24, and 24, 25 projects. So we're hoping to have this project start very soon this summer. And we will also start on the design for the street project 25-26 in the upcoming fiscal year. The salaries and benefits resolution is attached. GAM limit as well, the resolution for that is attached as well. And the statement and investment policy, the resolution, we did meet with the Investment Advisory Committee, and we put this together, and we're now presenting that to you. The budget's attached, the resolutions are attached. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions?
I have one question. Under the Statement of Investment Policy Resolution, I understand the whole thing, and we have an Investment Advisory Committee. On the last paragraph, it says, it is recommended the city adopt Resolution 2025-19, which formally adopts updated Statement of Advisory Policy and delegates investment authority to the city treasurer, which we do designate to your authority, but shouldn't there be language in there through consultation with the Investment Advisory Committee or something? On that last paragraph, it just sort of says that you have the full authority to it.
Sure, I can add it in there, because
Okay.
they're the ones that discuss everything and agree. And
That's why that last paragraph really didn't say that, so. Okay.
You'll put that in your motion?
Pardon me?
You'll put that in your motion when you make it?
That change?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like that form of motion that the language.
Well, hold on, I've got to open up let me do public
Okay.
comment, and then we can do that. Any public comment? All right, Brian.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2025 operating budget and capital improvement plan with the condition that that last paragraph be changed as I articulated.
Second?
Second?
Norm?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Brian?
Yes.
And Chauncey, yes. All right, I will close the public hearing. Move on to administrative items. Let's see, we've covered,
Wait, did we adopt all? There's 3 resolutions.
I took the motion to mean the staff recommendation with your amendment.
That's correct.
You good with that? Yep.
hey, as long as he's good, I'm good.
Huh?
As long as he's good, I'm good.
Checking on.
Are you good?
Huh?
Are you good?
Well, as long as we've adopted all the GAN and the budget and the investment, yeah, sure.
We just clarified for the record, that's exactly what we adopted. So we're good now.
Okay,
Is my other attorney good?
all
All
right.
right. Let's see. All right, so I closed the public hearing. We'll move on. Administrative items 20 and 21 we covered at the beginning of the meeting. So if you're looking for those at this point, they're back at the beginning. Item 22.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item before you tonight is a request for night work on Hacienda Road. As part of the Hacienda Road Safety Improvement Project, which is the installation of the traffic signal at Avocado Crest and Hacienda Road, 2 of the light standards for the signal that need to be stood up and placed in the area are within close proximity to Edison lines. So for the safety of the crew to be able to actually place those in place, the line needs to be de-energized. Typically, Southern California Edison requests that that be done at nighttime to be less impactful to the community and the surrounding areas to do that at night. So in order to do that, we have to go through a process with Edison to de-energize that section of overhead lines to make it safe for the workers to be able to place the poles in place out on Hacienda Road. So since it is night work, our construction hours typically are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this would be outside of that time frame. So staff is requesting that City Council authorize 1 night of night work to allow Crosstown Electrical and Data to set the poles in place. We don't have the exact dates for that one. It's a process we have to go with Edison. When we do know the date and the time of it, we will share it with the people in that area that'll be affected to let them know what day it'll be working, and also that work will be going on at night. They will be placing a crane to be able to lift the poles into place in those particular locations. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions? I have one for the city attorney. Can I vote on this because this is my employer?
You should recuse yourself. That is a fair point.
To just recuse myself from the voting? I don't have to. Do I have to leave, or?
You technically have to leave, yes. And the mayor pro tem is in charge.
All right.
Just on this, though.
All right.
Does that mean we can
And
talk
she's
about?
not really in charge. So
We can talk about him behind his back now, huh?
I just have.
Oh, absolutely.
I have another Luddite question. You said this line feeds several cities. How many people are actually going to be affected by the shutdown?
I don't have an exact number of households that may be affected to it. Through that process with Edison, they work to rearrange the power to make it as small as possible.
So La Habra is not going to go dark, or?
It shouldn't. It's going to be that area that's kind of right around it. Should be the ones that'll be most impacted by it. But we'll work with Edison to kind of determine. They have the ability to sort of reroute power through different connections to try to make it as small as possible.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Motion?
Move to adopt the recommendation of staff with regard to agenda item 22.
Second.
Norm?
Yes.
Carol, yes. Mr. Steffler?
Yes.
Mr. Bergman?
Yes.
Okay, we need to, let's get John back.
All right.
It's good you didn't need help.
Yeah, well, Rafferty, I'm sure, has a key. All right, item 23. Carol, I think, is this you?
Yes, first, I think I've been told, okay, I think this is important because we're a unique community, and it's something that, this is to include Home of the Hass Avocado on our letterhead and our website if possible. And I think this is healthy. It gives the community a sense of spirit. And also I was told that the sign that says Home of the Hass Avocado is on the premises and may soon be put up. Is that?
We do have the signs here. The location where it needs to be placed was hit, so the repairs are being made to that so we can install it at that location.
So anyway, and then Vicky.
So do we, I mean, the back and forth I saw was, do we agree on Home of the Hass, or are we going to do something different? Because didn't someone want to?
Mr. Blagden said it should be birthplace of the avocado, but Vicky Cook has been very active in this, and she's willing to help work with staff, bring back samples for your approval of, and this would be a gradual process.
Samples of what?
Of the stationery, we put it on the stationery or on the website.
So this would be something, as we run out of stationery, we would reorder it with the
Right.
new branding?
Yeah, and you guys are welcome to have your 2 cents in there, but, or 3 cents.
Are you sure you want it?
Well, I mean, so that's my suggestion, that we give the city a little color, or a little.
Wouldn't birthplace be a little more accurate, though? Wouldn't it send a little more discreet message? I mean, it's the Home of the Hass Avocado sort of suggests like it lives here. And I thought birthplace is more central to what we're claiming.
I didn't know trees had birth.
Yeah, if
Origin?
if the big tree.
Origin of the Hass Avocado?
Huh?
Origin of the Hass Avocado?
Maybe.
Yeah, let's go for birthplace,
I'm fine
whatever.
I'm fine with, I think I'm fine with.
I'm good with whatever it is. It just, I think Mr. Blagden made the comment that the big seminal tree that started all this, Haas, is gone now. So it's no longer here. So his argument was that, well, it can't be the home because the tree's dead. But then there's all kinds of successor trees. So I success home works fine. I would, I'd move that we.
What are we looking
that
for
we
on this?
Follow that recommendation.
Which recommendation?
That we follow the, well, there isn't a recommendation, I'll make a recommendation, that all of the phrases on official city materials, websites, and other forms of communication begin to be converted to include the phrase, Home of the Hass Avocado.
Which I think is on the sign,
As,
right? It's already on the sign, so that's why it would.
yeah, as we have a need to change or update or reorder that material, so we're not creating.
Right, and if any of
Unnecessary
you
cost.
want to, Vicki said she would help design it so staff doesn't have to do all the work, and they can approve it, and it'll be a slow process. Okay, I'll make a second.
Norm?
Just one question. Has anybody been in communication with the Hass family and mentioned this to them? So they ought to be made aware of it. So we're trying to honor them. So we ought to at least let them know we're trying to honor them.
I'll mention that to Vicki.
Yes.
All right, Norm?
Okay, I'll vote yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Brian?
Yes.
John's a yes. All right, 24. Norm, I think we're back to you on this one.
Okay, I just put it there as kind of a placeholder. Carol and I have been in contact. We're going to put together kind of an, I guess, an ad hoc committee to essentially take her version, take my version, and see if we hammer something out.
I'm good with that.
And if anybody has any other comments, otherwise we'll just hold this over for next month.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get this thing resolved.
So we reviewed and we discussed. All right. Individual, I'll close the administrative items, individual council member information items, or required meeting attendance. Anybody go to any meetings? No? All right. Any public comments for things not on the agenda? Anyone? None? All right. I'll adjourn the meeting. Meeting's adjourned. Boy, I would have